All right.
Hi, I'm Beth.
And I'm Stanley.
And you're listening to Mixed Politics. Welcome to episode 38.2.
Okay, let's go with that.
38 and a half.
All right. So, let's jump right into it. What are you drinking again?
I am still drinking the peach flavored margarita, and it's setting in pretty nicely right now.
This is going to be the best episode ever about the worst topic ever.
Right. What are you drinking?
I am drinking more Bacardi Black with less Coca-Cola and a splash of fucking rum and some grenadine.
That's good. That's good.
I'm trying stuff, you know.
Awesome.
So, what are we talking about tonight?
Okay, so we're still talking about what's going on with the DC Trump indictment.
Mm-hmm.
So if you missed part 1 of this episode,
You might want to go back to that right now.
You have to go back and listen to that because it gives you all of the background, what's in the indictment, what's not in the indictment.
And who's in the indictment.
Who is in the indictment? Who are the co-conspirators that are
Yes.
not named? And why are they not named?
Let's go with that.
So now we're going to dive into part 2 of this.
Yeah.
We had so much to say about part 1 that we just decided it was best to split this into 2 episodes.
Split this into 2. And I hope you guys appreciate the wardrobe change.
Yeah.
Got the quarter zip.
For him, at least. I'm still wearing the same clothes. I don't live here. I can't change my clothes.
I don't live here either, but I do.
It's all right.
All right.
It's all right.
No, you're fine. All right. So
we're going to talk about the judge.
The judge. Okay. And I guess that's me, huh?
That's you. This is all you.
All right. So this judge, her name is Tanya Chutkan. And I'm sure I'm saying her name correctly. I hope I'm not butchering it.
I've heard Chutkan, but I wondered if that was the correct pronunciation of it.
Okay. Let's go with that.
I mean, I'm not sure how it's pronounced because I haven't heard her say it. She's the one who speaks best to her.
She's the one who speaks it best? Mm-hmm. All right, let's look it up.
I've heard people say Chutkan. Chut.
Oh, that was a fat finger. Oh, God.
It's TK.
There she is. Tanya Chutkan.
Yep.
Ah, that's nice. I should do better at this.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's not.
We haven't done this in a while.
No, it's not. I should do better at this for a different reason. That's not what you're thinking.
What's that? Because she's from Jamaica, isn't she?
She is.
Yes.
She is.
She's from Jamaica.
She is Indian and black, just like a bunch of my cousins. Shout out to Noelle and Amari. But yeah, she totally is. And when this came out, because I want people to know, because a lot of people have a lot of shit to say, especially Trump this week about this judge and like whatever. She was chosen at random.
It's always random.
I mean, dice roll, fucking shaking names in a hat. Oh, this is the judge.
Same as the judge in Florida, same as the judge in Manhattan. They're always
completely random. I mean, random number generator. RNG as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember when I found out that it was her, a bunch of my colleagues from high school and the people I grew up in Jamaica with were just like, he's fucking cooked.
That's what I thought too.
He's fucking...
But I have no basis to really...
Oh, God.
Like, you are from Jamaica, so...
If he had any hope at all hope is lost. Because I don't know if you know any Jamaican woman...
I have known a few.
In positions of power.
I have known a few.
Them motherfuckers is ruthless.
I'm scared of them.
I'm sorry. Listen, love my Jamaican woman. Shout out to all of you.
And
my sisters, my brothers, my cousins, my aunties, my uncles. But especially the people in my family, you know who the fuck you are. You're ruthless as shit. Kareen, you know who you are. Mm-hmm. You ruthless as shit. And when I realized that this woman was a Jamaican, a career fucking law enforcement judge's fuck woman, I was just like, oh, well, whatever they were hoping for, they need to just come in remorseful, penitent,
yes,
contrite,
yes.
Those are some words I haven't used in a sentence in a long time. But the entire team, I'm not talking about just Trump. Every person needs to just come in and be like, we were wrong. We were sorry. Please afford us leniency and mercy. Because you ain't going to get none.
The first Jamaican woman that I ever had the pleasure of knowing was a professor at the university that we went to.
Oh,
Her name has escaped my memory. She was an English professor. And she was so tough on me.
God, they tough on everybody, man. It ain't just you. I'm sorry.
But the thing is, in the moment, I was really annoyed at that. But
Yeah.
in hindsight, I'm so grateful.
No,
I'm so grateful.
Let me tell you
and I
something.
cannot remember
Let me
her
tell
name.
you
I'm
something.
so
Let me
sorry.
tell you
She
something
was
about.
wonderful.
Let me tell you something about the beloved, wonderful career Jamaican woman. They put their career above all else, and they are serious about it.
Yes.
And they expect the same excellence that people expect from them, and that they also deliver.
It's so true.
So when I look at this woman's background
So true.
and realize that not just me and what I biased, my whole bias was of her before I started researching her and looking her up and whatever. When I found out all the things that I found out about her, I was just like, well, yeah, obviously, clearly.
Right?
So here's one key thing to note about her. She has tried a number of cases well before this. Apparently, she's been a judge for over 40 or something cases that have to do with civil rights, constitution, etc., etc.
Yes.
But specifically, she has tried a number of cases that has specifically to do with January 6th.
Yeah. Yeah.
This January 6th rodeo
Yes.
ain't her fifth. Like, she's been doing this for like the
She's
past
an
year and a half.
Expert at this at
And
that point.
apparently,
Yeah.
every case that she's tried of a January 6th offender, they've either had jail time or a massive fine or both or whatever. And her whole stance is, we had an insurrection and you were a part of it, and this is your punishment. The end. Nothing else. There's no emotion. There's no Democrat versus Republican. There's no whatever. She's just like, according to the laws that we have set, you violated those. And depending on how egregiously you've violated these laws, this is your sentence. And roll. Now, the thing about that is upsetting to the GOP and like Trump followers or whatever, is that she got, what is the word? It's not, she got appointed 95-0.
Yes. I'm so glad you brought that up.
95-0. That means people on whatever section of the political spectrum said that this person is the real fucking deal. Like, whether you're libertarian or egalitarian or equestrian or aquatic, whatever, every 95-0 said appoint her.
I forgot to look it up to see who were the 5 that held out.
I don't
Were
know.
they just not
They
present?
just didn't vote or whatever. But
That's
no,
what I'm going to check.
it was,
So you keep going.
it was 95-0. 95. I know that number for a fact. So no one has a problem with this woman from her appointment. And then the second part of it is so awesome, right? I don't know if she follows the same procedure that we follow at my workplace, but we have a procedure called CYA. You probably heard of it. It's called cover your ass. In all of the fucking cases that she's tried for January 6th defendants, or they're not plaintiffs, it's the other word. I can't remember because I'm drunk. Never once has she ever written a statement or uttered a statement that said, Trump is the cause, he is guilty, he is the reason, he is whatever. She's never written anything or said anything negatively or positively about Trump at all.
Right.
Not one time.
I'm glad you brought that up because
Not one time. There's no dissent. There's no case. There's no briefing. There's no dissertation. Nothing where she's ever mentioned Trump is to blame for this. Trump is wrong.
Exactly.
Trump is at fault. Trump is whatever. No, it just doesn't exist because there's a record of it. There's none. So 95 people appointed her to 0. And at no point in her, I want to say 7, it might be more than 7, but at very least 7 court cases, trials of January 6th defendants, at no point in her sentencing or in her delivery of her judgment did she say anything negative or positive about Trump. At all.
She did not. And I have a thing to say about that, but I'm sorry for the shocked look on my face.
Go on. I saw it, and it's cool.
I'm looking at the nay votes.
Oh, there were nays?
There were 5 nays. I'm sorry.
Where'd I get
5? I'm sorry, there were 5
0.
not voting. That's what I was looking for.
Not voting.
That's what I was looking for, was the nays versus not voting.
Mm-hmm.
So my apologies. My shocked face was because I thought these were nays, and Cory Booker's name is there. Not voting were Booker, Boozman, Casey, Cochran, and Lee.
Casey! That's our guy from Ohio, isn't he not?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Who the fuck Casey?
So, New Jersey, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Mississippi, and Utah were non-voting. So
were they just like not present?
They were just they didn't. It doesn't say not present. It just says they didn't vote. So they could have been a not present.
Might have been on vacation or something.
The point is that everybody else that was there and voting voted yes.
Like there was not even one person.
There was not a no vote
for this Jamaican-born female judge,
including Rafael Cruz.
Nobody. Every single person that was in the Senate was just like, clearly look at her track record. She is impeccable. Let her do whatever the fuck she wants.
Absolutely.
And now,
and she did not say anything disparaging about Trump.
Not once.
Can I just
no? She's tried many January 6th cases.
She has, and I have to say something about that because I heard a Trump supporter take issue with her about a quote that she said. So I think this is circulating on right-wing media.
Go on.
I need to address this.
Yeah.
There was a quote from her that right-wing media is latching onto to say that she's biased. And I think this is where we're going with the whole, like, she's not fit to be this judge.
Yeah.
She had ruled over one of these cases for a January 6th defendant.
Mm-hmm.
He was sentenced to prison, and in the sentencing, she had said, you came here for the purpose of one man. That man being Donald Trump.
But she still didn't name him.
She did not name him. But the broader point is, judges make commentary based on the evidence provided in the trial.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to really caution people. Like, and I'm going to get to this a little bit later in the jury selection process and how that's done.
Yeah.
One has to be very careful at assuming that judges' commentary out of context is actually within context. Judges make comments based on the evidence in the trial. So I haven't looked into that particular case.
Yeah.
But my first inclination is to give her the benefit of the doubt to say that defendant actually said that he was there for that
more than
one
likely,
person.
Because a lot of them deflect to that when they don't have any more defense.
Exactly. So the judge making the comment, please look at the context of it and look at the details in the case. Because I assure you, I don't like to assume things, but I'm leaving it in the purview of possibility that she was making that comment because the defendant said that himself, that he was there because of Donald Trump. So her making that comment isn't inherently biased. So I know it could be based on the facts of the case.
I know for a fact that she's tried more than 7 cases with the January 6th thing, and they've all been like prosecuted and gone to jail and indicted and convicted and whatever the fuck else. And the GOP talking point right now, and it goes all the way up to the head, because Donald Trump either tweeted today or yesterday, sometime over this weekend, Friday, Saturday, or whatever, that said that he's going to ask for a recusal of this judge because clearly she's biased and the jurors are biased. And the reason why they're saying that the jurors will be biased is because Washington, D.C. voted 96% for Joe Biden and only 4% for Donald Trump, for himself. And he's saying that he wants to, in his Truth Social post, I don't know, more than likely, I know you're good enough, you'll find it and post it here because I believe in you.
I will. I already have it.
it says that they want to move it to the great state of West Virginia. Because obviously, West Virginia voted for Trump because they don't like the Medicare that they receive from the rest of us. So
somebody sent me his attorney did an interview on Fox News that said West Virginia is a very diverse state. And I was like...
I have friends from West Virginia. Shout out Jenny. You know that state ain't diverse.
It ain't diverse there.
So, no, but going back to being very serious, Washington, D.C. and this metropolitan area does have a diverse group of people, yes. Even within D.C. itself.
Oh, absolutely.
Come on, guys. Just think about it. Give me 5 seconds of thought. How much diversity do you think the capital of the nation, where all the rich and powerful people live and congregate, has? I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna give you the biggest bait ever. Do you think that's a lot of white people or a lot of minorities and whatever? Do you think a lot of minorities more than anybody else lives in Washington, D.C.? Lawyers, clerks of lawyers, legal assistants, paralegals, political pundits, analysts, political experts, news anchors, anybody who has a press pass to the White House. Think that's a bunch of black people living in D.C.? All right, well, let's be real. Right. Anyways, so according to anyone who has 5 brain cells to rub together, the recusal is not going to happen because this bold as fuck and blemishless as fuck Jamaican woman judge isn't going to be like, I recuse myself because I don't want political heat and I'm scared for my life because people are going to shoot my husband at the front door.
No.
She don't give a motherfucker.
She takes it seriously.
She takes it seriously. And she knows that this is going to be an opportunity for her in the annals of history. Not anals. Annals. Get your mind together. The annals of history. Yes. Where she was the presiding judge who put the first American president in prison. You think she takes this lightly?
Now, let's not jump to conclusions that she's going to... because it's really up to a jury.
You know what? You know what's going to be funny? When we come back to this episode and I was like, Stanley was right.
There have been so many times when either Stanley or myself, we have predicted things that have come true. I'm considering putting out some TikToks that actually are clips of us predicting things that have come true.
Yeah.
Go over to TikTok and look for those because I'm going to put them up soon. So yes, we can revisit that because I just, in the interest of being impartial, and that goes to how judges are supposed to be and how juries are supposed to be. We can't say that her name's going to be attached to putting him in prison. We don't know that yet. But her name is attached to history already. She knows that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
she is the presiding judge over this case. Yeah. So regardless of what happens in this case, her name is attached to history forever. So
listen, I'm going to tell you this right now because I'm going to predict it. There will be no recusal.
Right.
She will be the judge on the case. Regardless of what Trump has to tell you. The trial will not be moved to West Virginia or any other state because DC is diverse as fuck and it's white as fuck.
Yes.
Those two things are not going to happen. Mm-mm. The judge will be the Honorable Miss Tanya or Mrs. I don't want to, whatever.
Ms. Tanya.
And that's what it's going to be.
And I'm excited about it.
And I'm telling you, Trumpito is getting cooked.
Yes. He definitely has an uphill battle if he thinks he's going to get off on this. So I'm going to segue into jury selection because it really goes hand in hand with this. Mm-hmm. Like, these things are not different. They are part of the same process. I have heard so many people say that Judge Chutkan cannot be on this trial because she's biased, either because she was appointed by Obama or because she has already presided over some of the January 6th trials. And what that tells me is whoever says that comment is starting from a position of believing that people cannot set aside their personal beliefs from their political beliefs.
I watch Mueller do that, and he's
so
Republican
many people
as fuck.
have done that. So the earliest litmus test for whether somebody is fit to serve on a jury is if they say stupid shit like that. I have been called to jury duty so many times.
Me too. I haven't gone.
I have been. It's been settled out of court before I showed up at the courthouse. Like the day before, I called in. You call the number and they say, "Oh, it's been settled." So
yeah.
The last time I was called for jury duty, I actually sat in the courthouse for hours waiting to be called for selection, and then they settled out of court, and I was disappointed because I understand the civic duty involved in this kind of thing, because it is it's a requirement for all jurors to take an oath.
Yeah.
The oath is that you will listen to and you will make your decision based solely upon the evidence presented in court, not even the evidence that you think qualifies as evidence, but the evidence that is presented and that the judge says is admissible. So the jurors take an oath to say that they will be impartial. And if a juror decides to take that oath and then decides to vote solely based on their partisan beliefs that they just like Donald Trump and they think that he's innocent just because they love him so much, they are violating their oath. Mm-hmm. So the quickest path to tell me that you're not fit to serve on a jury is to say some stupid shit like that, oh, it's impossible to get an impartial jury in DC because, it's a bunch of fucking liberals. That's not what jury duty is about. Mm-hmm. And please tell me that you can do better than that. Because jury duty it means setting aside your personal biases and listening to evidence and making a decision based on the evidence alone and not on your personal bias. And I get really triggered. Like, I really get fired up about certain things. Yeah. Voting rights, jury duty, and women's rights. Those are the three things that are triggers for me. So when people say things like, she's not fit to serve as a judge because she's ruled over some of these things and she's given sentences to people who were there because of Trump. Yeah. Please miss me with that bullshit of thinking that she's partisan first and judge second. I am tired of people, and that's really what it boils down to, is that people see themselves reflected in others and assume that they can't do the job. Mm-hmm. Because it just means that they themselves could never be fit to serve on a jury because they can't let go of their personal biases. Dick sucking for Trump. That's what they want to do. They want to love him so much. Trump fellatio. They couldn't personally see themselves letting go of their bias to serve on a jury.
So they think that nobody else can.
So they think nobody else can. And I assure you, if I sit on a jury, I'm going to listen to that evidence. Yeah. And I'm going to make a decision.
I don't want to be wrong.
I take it seriously that human rights are in question here. And so if you honestly think that you yourself can't set aside your personal bias in order to judge the evidence in this case and say that Trump may be guilty, all that tells me is that you're unfit to serve on a jury. And that's pretty fucking sad.
So like I said, like Beth said, actually, the talking points is like grasping at straws to try to like delegitimize her as the judge, but they have nothing because she's so fucking smart. I'm sure she thought, maybe I'll end up being the judge on this case, so let me never give an opinion of Trump, positive or negative, at any point in my career that could be recorded.
That's the way they operate no matter what. Yeah. Like, there's no foresight into her saying, maybe someday I'll sit on this jury. Okay. The people that are serious about being a judge... Right. They don't fuck up. They understand that there is a paper trail for everything. There's always somebody listening to every conversation. And that everything they put on record can be challenged by somebody else for civil rights violations.
There it is.
So they understand, they take their job seriously, and they know that in the interest of human rights first, politics way last.
Dead last.
Last.
Except if you're Clarence Thomas.
Right.
And you get an RV that's $300,000 from some fucking Texas tycoon.
That's how you tell a good judge from a not so good judge. I won't say bad. Good versus bad is just a terrible judge. So constructive versus destructive judges. Yeah. The constructive ones are ready to accept that somebody could challenge their decision at any time.
Yeah.
The destructive judges are the ones that say,
this is ironclad.
what I say is
law.
I can never be challenged.
Which kind of is, because the Constitution does lay out that judges are the personification of the law.
Checks and balances, though. Checks and balances.
Not for the Supreme fucking Court, what we're dealing with right now.
We're going to get to that.
I hope so.
We are going to get to that.
You know what we should do the next episode?
What? Supreme
Goddamn
Court?
Supreme Court corruption.
Let's do it. Hand selecting people in West Virginia is purely for political reasons.
Yeah, it clearly is.
Not for the fitness of the jury.
Not at all.
Because people in West Virginia should be questioning, well, why are they bringing it
here? Why you choose us, my guy?
Why do you choose us?
Why you choose us? You think we soft?
That's it. That's the thing. Is that it's an insult to people in West Virginia to believe that
you think we're not law-abiding fucking citizens.
Exactly. It is so manipulative and backhanded compliment to be like, we love West Virginia. We think that they're wonderful. Why would you? Because jurisdiction is based on where the crime was committed. And January 6th happened in DC.
And it wasn't in fucking West Virginia.
It wasn't in West Virginia. Why did they select West Virginia? For anybody in West Virginia that may be watching, I'm going to level with you. They chose your state because they think you're stupid. And I'm sorry that they feel that way about you. I don't feel that way about you, but they do. So please question who you're voting for if they're willing to throw you under the bus.
Right.
To think that you don't have the ability to be impartial. It's sad. It's sad.
That is okay. I like what you just did there.
It's the truth, though.
But it is the truth.
They absolutely feel like West Virginians are too stupid to really be impartial here. I believe in West Virginia, and I honestly think if it were...
I personally don't, but I understand what you're going with. Go with it.
I believe in West Virginia because they all take an oath. And so let me do one last thing about the jury selection. Mm-hmm. It's called voir dire. It is a process... Did you hear about that? Did you hear of voir dire?
I was about to talk about that, but go ahead.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
God damn it.
So, I'm sorry. You didn't put it in your bullet point.
I know, but I'm totally, yes, that was a part of it.
Okay, so voir dire is the process of doing the jury selection in which they can ask certain questions. And now I listened to attorney_die on TikTok. She's also on YouTube. I will link her channel below. I listened specifically to her because she does a great job of covering certain cases, law cases, and she will show the documents and she will go through them. I did not specifically listen to her cover this case in detail, but I did listen to her explanation of voir dire. Mm-hmm. And so
it's French.
It is French. So it's the questions that are asked of jurors in order to determine if they are
biased or complicit or whatever.
Yeah. Yes. And so both the prosecution and the defense have to agree on a juror before they are placed on the jury.
Right.
So you can't ask them party affiliation. That is off the table. Mm. However, the prosecution or defense can ask them specific questions to deduce that. So whatever can help to deduce if they are biased, so much so that they would say, whatever Trump does, I'm going to say he's innocent. Or whatever Trump does, I'm going to say he's guilty. This is a planned process, and it is agreed upon by both prosecution and defense. So there would not be a juror that's like, whatever Trump does, he's fucking guilty. And there would not be a juror that says, whatever Trump does, he's fucking innocent. They have to agree upon these jurors.
Both defense and prosecution.
They both have to agree upon these jurors.
That is a process of voir dire.
So if we get to the point that a juror is saying they're only basing their verdict on their personal beliefs, that means they have swindled the prosecutor, swindled the defense attorney.
And swindled the
and
fucking
swindled
judge.
the judge.
It's not just it's not like the defense chooses the prosecution. Sorry, the jury.
They're the jury, yeah.
It's both of them and the judge.
They have to agree.
Like, all three have to agree. Like, the prosecution can say, we want this juror. And the defense can be like, we want this juror. And then the judges is like, that juror is an idiot.
Right.
And so they don't get on and it's over.
And this is the kind of thing that a lot of people, like, there's a running joke amongst people who want to get out of jury duty that they say, well, I'll just say I'm pro-death penalty. Like, the prosecution, the defense, or the judge could call bullshit on that. Like, you're not going to get away with just making shit up.
Yeah.
They have methods and means to figure out if you're just saying random shit to get out of jury duty.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like it's insulting to West Virginia for Trump to even suggest that they're going to move to West Virginia.
Because automatically, once we go to West Virginia, it's going to be all in favor of Trump.
No.
Like, I think the fascism has, like, I don't know if it's corrupted his brain, but maybe corrupted the people around him where they don't understand how this works.
It didn't corrupt these people. It's exposing how they feel about other people.
Oh, okay.
Republicans have never respected small towns, West Virginia, Kentucky,
Indiana, Missouri, Nebraska, Missouri,
This is
Oklahoma.
Bringing to the surface that bias they have of thinking that for example, that they believe that West Virginians are such simpletons that they could just be in favor of Trump and nothing will be wrong. I believe that
I'm sure you could find 12 unbiased people in West Virginia. And he's going to be fucked anyways.
When you go through the process, when West Virginians are called to jury duty, they go through the process of questioning. Mm-hmm. They have to fill out information about themselves, how they feel about certain things. They are questioned by the prosecution, questioned by the defense attorney, questioned by the judge. I believe in West Virginians to be honest. And if they're honest about their biases, they will be removed. Told that they're not on the jury.
They're not fit.
If people are honest about the fact that they're willing to hear the information and they swear an oath. I believe that when people swear an oath, that they do take it somewhat seriously. There are still those people who are disingenuous, but that is not a failure of the system. It's a failure of that individual to set aside their personal biases. So that's the thing, is that this is exposing the fact that the Republican Party and Trump himself has a really shitty perspective on West Virginia.
West Virginia.
I would be insulted if I lived in West Virginia. I'd be like, ooh.
It'd be so funny if just this fucking blunder causes West Virginia to, like, flip. We'd be like, who the fuck you think you are? Ooh. We're now voting Democrat. Ooh. Fuck you.
So what's been the reaction from the GOP?
So, but one thing that did stand out to me, and I don't know if you have anything to add, but I remember when the indictment came out, and it was official on the day that it came out. There were so many people from the media, elected officials, whatever, who had things to say. And I want to point out 3 people specifically.
Okay.
Susan Murkowski, I believe she is the senator of Alaska. She was one of the few GOP members who
I want to say
voted.
Susan Murkowski is not her name.
What?
Murkowski's correct, but Susan.
You don't think it's Susan? Let's find out.
I'm too drunk to remember.
I love it. Well, that's the part I like.
It's not Susan. What is it? Lisa Murkowski.
It's Lisa. Is Susan the one from fucking Vermont?
Susan Collins. I think she's from
Bernie Sanders' state. Maine?
Somewhere.
She's over there.
Bernie Sanders is from Vermont.
So one of them. And I love that we're having this, like, blunder. Please leave this in.
Yes.
Because we're not perfect. We're figuring it out.
This is what happens when we're drunk. I know it's not right, but we need to Google it to figure it out.
And it's fine as long as we fucking get it correct. But like, I wanted her name to be Susan though.
Lisa Murkowski. Susan Collins is
Susan Collins
is the one that said Trump learned his lesson, and he clearly did not learn his lesson.
So Lisa Murkowski.
Yes.
Now she's from Alaska for sure.
Yes.
Right.
She is.
So we fact checked ourselves as we often do before and after the show.
Because we're honest here.
Right. We're not trying to, so Lisa Murkowski, she was one of the only female senators who voted to indict Trump. Impeach. Sorry. Yes. Not indict, impeach.
Yes.
Trump. And like, she came under so much fire, and she was, everybody's in there, oh, you're a traitor, and like all the fucking GOP wanted her hang at gallows or whatever. Yeah. She actually won re-election.
Yeah, she did.
This is so funny.
In Alaska, nonetheless.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you hate me so much, but you re-elected me? I don't know.
Alaska has ranked choice voting. That has a lot to do with it.
Okay. We'll talk about that another time. Yes. But yes, I know what that means. But, I do. So she was one of the ones that came out was just like, her statement, and I'm heavily paraphrasing, was much like, I fucking told you so. Like, did you not see the fucking evidence? Did you want me to look at this evidence and say, this ain't true? Because it is. Mm-hmm. And so she was just like, she had the smallest statement of all. She was just like, yeah, presidents ain't allowed to do the shit that homeboy did, and I'm not cool with it, so good luck. And like, so now she's like justified or like adjudicated, saying
she's validated.
She's validated, definitely. That's also a good word. I like that.
Yes, validated. She's validated.
Yeah. Then there was Senator Mitt Romney, because he loves to straddle the fucking fence. He likes fences between his. Meanwhile, so Mitt Romney, what the fuck to tell you? He does like to straddle the fucking. He likes the grass being greener at least on one of his feet.
I'm sorry, but that was just really funny the way you said that. I'm sorry. We're at the
He does this often. He does this often. So he was one of the ones to be like, yeah. I'm not cool with the shit that Trump did. I'm really not cool with the insurrection. And to be fair to him, he also voted for the impeachment of President Trump.
The first time and the second time?
Both.
The second
time. Both times.
See,
both times.
I respect that because President Trump is the only president who's been impeached twice. Mm-hmm. And I believe it was justified both times.
Right. So that's the thing. Now, both of those people you could probably guess early on. You could be like Lisa Murkowski, Mitt Romney. Let me see if I can think of another GOP senator who would immediately be like, yeah, fuck that.
There is the third that I'm thinking. I cannot remember his name, but he basically has kind of like been on the sidelines. It's not going to come to me.
Okay.
But there's at least a third that was. Well, Chris Christie's another one.
But he's not a senator. Is he a senator?
He's not a senator. No. But he's like in the GOP. Yeah. He's been very outspoken.
He definitely is. Now, posthumously, and I love that I pronounced that correctly. I did that because I used to pronounce it like the Jamaican British way, and like American people would look at me. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it on this podcast. But they would look at me like, huh? And I'm like, post is a prefix by itself and it has its own pronunciation. So that'll help you a little bit. Yeah. But posthumously. The motherfucking senator from Arizona that died. That was in...
McCain.
McCain would have definitely... I want to believe that McCain would have been like, that's some fuck shit you did. Fuck that.
You know what McCain would have done?
He would have walked up and just been like...
I couldn't have said it any better myself. Because let's recall Donald Trump, when he was running for president in 2016, said that he would prefer people who weren't captured in war. John McCain is a war hero
and war prisoner.
He was a prisoner of war for years. So for a president of the United States
who's also never been to war,
who's never been to war because of
whether the war was justified or not, that's a different
Vietnam
conversation.
was not justified.
It was not.
Neither McCain nor Trump should have been in Vietnam.
Right. But when called upon, McCain suited his fucking ass up as a red-blooded American and went to serve America's interest. You can't argue with that.
And a president of the United States, the commander-in-chief of the armed services, says, I prefer people who weren't captured. That should have been your first clue not to make this guy president. But he was for 4 years. And I agree with you.
Because of fucking bone spurs.
Because of bone
spurs. And like,
spurs.
McCain had no objection, no reservation. He was just like, they called me. Time to fucking, I got it. My family, love you, kiss you, my kids, and I'm heading out. This is my duty. I don't necessarily support the purpose of the war and whatever, but I can support a man who said, I signed up for this. This is my job. I have to go by.
Absolutely.
I can't argue with that at
So
all. That is some heavy shit.
I agree with you. McCain would have walked in and said,
nah, fuck you, I'm out. So,
absolutely.
But surprisingly, the most surprisingly of all the GOP reactions is, and I don't know if this is because it's politically expedient because he's now running for president, but Mike Pence. I was so excited when I read all his comments. He was like, a person who has been indicted, pretty much paraphrasing, for an insurrection against the United States should never be president of the United States. And I was just like, hey, bruh, weren't you my homeboy VP? I don't, like, he was like, if he shit, you wipe. I don't understand. What are you doing? I don't know. But not just him. DeSantis. For the first time, because he's been asked multiple times on his campaign trail or whatever else, like, how do you feel about the Trump indictment and January 6th, whatever? And he was just like, and he would deflect or whatever. But like now, both him and Mike Pence this week has just been like, what Trump did was wrong, and he should not have incited those people. There should not have had a conspiracy. Joe Biden won the election fair and square, whatever. And I was just like, what the fuck is happening? And I don't know if it's a situation where it's like sharks smell blood in the water and they're just like, fuck it, let's feast. Let's all feast together. Or it's an individual thing where it's just like, nah, fuck that guy. I don't like him. Fuck him.
Well,
but like when Mike Pence comes out and says, wait, let me find the quote, because I want to quote him verbatim, which is going to probably be the first and only time in my life. I fucking Mike Pence.
You got your caps lock on.
I do. Because Mike Pence, he's a huge figure. He's an alarming figure.
We are too drunk for this.
Indictment. I spell that correctly.
He has made a lot of public statements lately. I will wait until you're finished making your point before I say my...
It doesn't matter. He was... the best part. I did see this.
Oh, yes.
So he started selling this merch, these shirts and stuff, and like bags, tote bags or whatever, saying that he's too honest. Because that's what Trump had said about him.
Exactly what...
In the indictment. They put it in the indictment.
Let me find it. I highlighted
they were just
it.
Like,
hang on a second.
Mike Pence is too honest. And it's just like, how can you be too honest? Either you're honest or you're not. I don't understand where the two part comes in.
Here we go. Page 33 of the indictment. It's linked in the show notes below.
Okay.
This is on January 1st. Trump called Vice President and berated him because he had learned that Pence had opposed a lawsuit seeking a judicial decision that at certification the Vice President Pence had the authority to reject or return votes to the to the states under the Constitution. I will get to that specifics. And this is my highlight. The vice president responded that he thought there was no constitutional basis for such authority and that it was improper. In response, Trump told the vice president, "You're too honest." So for all of the people who have said politicians lie, we couldn't have voted for Hillary because she lies too much. We needed to vote for Trump because he wasn't a politician. Here is a quote referring to Mike Pence, which he has now confirmed in public statements, that Trump, the non-politician that you voted for in 2016 and 2020, was saying that Pence was too honest to deny his request to overthrow your vote in the election. Pence, one of the most honest, according to Trump.
And he said this week that he had gone to the dark side.
Right.
This is Star Wars to him. This is fucking crazy.
Trump says that Pence is an honest man, and you're willing to think that Mike Pence is terrible because he's a lying politician? Well, maybe you should look at Trump, because Trump says Pence was a bad man because he wasn't willing to lie.
Okay, so here's a direct quote from Mike Pence. It goes, "Today's indictment serves as an important reminder. Anyone who puts himself over the Constitution of the United States of America should never, not the first time, not the second time, not any time, be President of the United States." And then following that, he said, "I will have more to say about the government's case after reviewing the indictment." But his initial reaction was that anyone who subverts or challenges or opposes the Constitution of the United States should never at all be President of the United States. DeSantis says he was wrong. He was wrong to do whatever. He finally come. So this is the GOP's reaction. Now, this could fill an entire other episode.
Yeah,
because now this is going to cause a split in the party.
Yes, it will.
Because you have the GOP, the fiscal conservatives and whatever, and then you have the fucking QAnon weird ass dumb fucks. And
the cucumbers. I've heard them referred to as cucumbers lately, and I think that's...
I don't understand the cumber part.
Well, but a cucumber. A cucumber is a vegetable. A cucumber. See? It's funny.
That is actually hilarious.
I heard that yesterday for the first time, and I was like, that's fucking
so
fantastic.
I think both DeSantis and Mike Pence and others who are a part of the GOP are just like, okay, we can distance ourselves from this and not risk political suicide. Because 2 years ago, it would have been political suicide.
Absolutely.
But I think because of all of the evidence that has come out since, they've realized that, no, some people, even as dense as they are, can be reasonable.
Yes.
And it's like, you did this. You took the fucking documents. You raped that fucking woman. You called Georgia and Arizona and had them try to change votes. You enlisted Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani and had them try to fucking install electorates to cause mass confusion, to throw out the fucking legitimate election of Joe Biden. All of these things are true, and you did them, or you were a part of them, or you sanctioned them, or allowed them, and this is where we are. So fuck you.
Right.
I think that's where the GOP, the stalwart, the fucking conservatives, the fiscal conservatives, not the fucking evangelical, let me fillet Trump all day and all night people are. I think that's where they are.
Right. So we're going to talk about Reconstruction era laws that are referenced in the indictment. This introduction into the concept of when former President Trump has to be accountable for old laws that are in the Constitution. Welcome to what everybody else has to fucking deal with.
The best.
Come into our club.
I don't want to cut you but I do like doing that, apparently, because I do it so often. The best part about that whole thing that you just mentioned is that when he became president, right?
Yeah.
He fucking passed a law that, like, was trying to indict / convict Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
About, like, her having classified documents.
Right.
And, like, keeping them on an unsecure server and out of a skiff and whatever. And it's like, that very same law that you signed as president into law is now the very same one that is fucking you over on the second indictment for you holding fucking documents in the Mar-a-Lago bathroom next to the chandelier and the copy machine in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Had you not signed this law, lawmakers would look at this and be like, oh yeah, he good. But you did it. This is the classic case of biting off your nose to spite your face. That's what we would say where I'm from. In America, you would say throwing out the baby with the bathwater. And I think there's like another version of it, but I don't care.
My version is karma is a boomerang. You throw it out there, it gonna come right back at you.
I'm so sorry. No one says that, Beth.
I say that.
Karma is a bitch. That's what...
Karma's a bitch, yes, but it's a fucking boomerang.
It's
a boomerang.
Okay.
You throw that shit out there, it gonna come right back in your face.
Whap.
So you're right. He
fucked it. He fucked himself.
He elevated the misdemeanor to a felony.
Yeah.
And now he's being charged with that very same thing.
Yeah. What about her emails? What about the documents that you had in your motherfucking bathroom next to the golden chandelier and the golden toilet the goddamn Xerox machine? Why do you have a copy machine in your bathroom? Why do you have a copy machine in your bathroom?
This man does not live like normal people live.
I'm sorry.
He does not live.
Can you imagine like taking a dump and it's like just like that's a normal procedure. That is not a normal procedure. No one makes copies in their bathroom while they're taking a shit. No one, no American, no earthling, no human says, you know what? I feel like I need to go do a number 2. But before I do that, right here, I'm going to put this on the top. And just 15 start. And all right, now I'm going to sit here now. Okay, I'm ready. Roll off some fucking 2-ply. That's never happened in the history of life. Of like, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. Who the fuck has a copy machine in their bathroom? There are a lot of things people don't have in their bathrooms. And I promise you, copy machine is like not on top of the list. Like, no, honestly, as an American, you would more likely have a refrigerator, like a mini fridge in your bathroom before you had a copy machine. Because you just be like, you know what, fucking shower beer, shit beer. I'm in here, so I'll have a beer. Copy machine comes after a refrigerator.
I would never think to have a copy machine in my bathroom.
Well, that's where he fucking had it.
West Virginia.
Why would he have this?
West Virginia, if you're listening, this man does not live like you. He has a copy machine in his bathroom. I think that's the best statement ever. He don't live like you, nor would he ever, nor does he want you around him living like you live around him. He would not have you in his club.
None of you have a membership to Mar-a-Lago. None of you can afford it. And none of you would be allowed to purchase it.
Absolutely.
You can't. But you still support this man. And so he finds it politically expedient to want to take his case to your state because he thinks you're dumb as fuck. Surprise him.
And on that note, one of the reasons why so many Republicans that watch Fox News, Newsmax, OAN, CNN, MSNBC, they kind of, some people absorb information and want to trust their news source to provide them what's relevant and what's necessary. But I assure you that no matter what news station you watch, they're not giving you the full context. I'm going to give you the full context here. There's a Reconstruction era law that is referenced in this document, and that's the Electoral Count Act of 1887. And I really want to make sure that we cover why this is relevant, because I had researched this back when we were in college, because the election of 2000 was very similar to the election of 1876.
Hey, by the way, fuck Janet Reno and everybody who she rolled with.
Right.
To this day.
Right. Back when we were in school together, I was keeping newspaper clippings, and if I can find them, I will share them in screenshots here. Because there was reference back in 2000 to the 1876 election being the last time that it was really contested, that electors that were selected in certain states were in question because the electoral count was so close. Basically, neither candidate, Republican or Democrat, had a plurality, had a majority or plurality. So the Electoral Count of 1887 was put in place because not only of the election of 1876, where maybe this sounds familiar, but several states submitted competing slates of electors.
Mass confusion.
Just like Trump tried to do this time in 2020. But also the elections of 1880 and 1884 were very close. So after 1884, Congress decided that it was necessary to have a process in place. And this goes right back. Now I can't remember if it was episode 1 or episode 2 that you're watching right now when you made this point. But Sandy made the point that it was necessary for us to have a process that kind of segregated their vice president from the process. Absolutely true. The elections of 1880 and 1884 were so close that there were a lot of concerns that partisanship in the House would lead to influence into how electors were decided or how disputes were decided amongst states. So the Electoral Count Act of 1887 it just formalized the process to say it was actually minimizing Congress's role in the electoral process, specifically because they did not want the vice president or legislators, members of the House, to be involved in the process. So that's why when you look at this indictment or when you look at news reports about certain deadlines as it relates to electors in the state, it says there's December 14th, December 12th, December 13th, just depending on what year the elections are held in. All of that stems back to the Electoral Count Act of 1887, where they basically said individual states, being sovereign, and according to Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution, says states shall run their elections. And after those elections are decided, there is a specific date that all states have to certify their electors.
So, and some chose not a specific date, but like a specific time, like 14 days after, 10 days after, 12 days after.
It's kind of like how voting day happens in America, where it's like the first Tuesday after the first Monday. Yeah. It's that kind of thing. But there's a specific date that's chosen in each state. Those states have to certify their electors and send it to Congress. And that's what the Electoral Count Act was. In 1887, it said, let's not let legislators be part of this process at the federal level. Let's just say states certify. Once they certify whatever date they choose, they send it to the Senate. It's sent to the archivist. The archivist keeps it under lock and key. And then on January 6th, it's opened by the vice president and it's read. That's it. And it's exactly what Staney said before. Like, they wanted to limit the power that the legislators had, that the vice president had, because there were so many elections that were coming into question. It's probably the best way to say it. They were coming into question because when you send legislators to Washington, they are partisan in nature. They were elected to a certain political party. But the more involvement you have in the legislators, in the elections, the more likely it is that they would influence in a negative way.
And be corrupt or like
exactly.
bullshit. Yeah.
So this is very relevant because so many times throughout the indictment, it's referenced that the vice president has the power to send the certifications back to the states, and absolutely not. So, this is something that I have brought up in TikToks through live streams, talking to certain people. I guess I want to kind of bring this awareness to people to think about the difference when you're getting information from media sources. The nuance is very important. As it relates to this particular case, there's a difference between the 12th Amendment and the House rules about the 12th Amendment. So Mike Pence was going based strictly upon the 12th Amendment of the Constitution, which says that the vice president will open the votes and count them. That is what the Constitution says. So if you are a constitutional conservative and you believe in the Constitution, that is what you should go by. As of 2020, it's since been changed because of what happened on January 6th. Right. But as of 2020, the vice president shall open the ballots, and they shall be counted. That is exactly what the Constitution says, no more, no less. The House rules about the 12th Amendment is what I've heard a lot of people reference. And I think it's very important for people to realize that when I have heard a lot of people, I could name names, I'm not gonna. There are some people on TikTok that are making their name on spreading disinformation. And they are spreading disinformation specifically to say that Mike Pence had the power to send this back to the states. What they're referring to is the 12th Amendment House rules, which is very different from the Constitution. And I'm going to link this information below so that you can see exactly what I'm referring to. But I've looked at the House rules that were relevant in 2021 because they were adopted on January 4th of 2021. So they would have been relevant to January 6th, those proceedings.
Yeah.
And is very specific to say if there are any disputes about the election, they have to be adopted by at least one senator in the Senate in order for it to be taken up as an actual issue in the House. So when you hear people say Mike Pence had the authority to do this, to hear objections, there are specific House rules that govern exactly how that information is handled. But those are House rules. That's not constitutional. So it is absolutely emphatically false for people to say that Mike Pence had the constitutional right to hear objections. No. He had a certain obligation under the House rules to do so, but not under the Constitution.
You can't
actually read the
Constitution.
You
can't take House rules to court.
No, House rules are House rules. They're adopted every year. They're changed every year. And the House rule, I will link them below so you can see exactly what they read in 2021, January 4th, prior to this situation that we're talking about. It is very important that people understand the context of what they're dealing with. And please be very mindful that when people are misleading you, when they say that Mike Pence had, and Donald Trump said that, he believed Mike Pence had the authority to do a certain thing.
And Mike Pence being actually a student of the Constitution, as much as I don't like this fucking weird ass pray away the gay fucking governor of Indiana. He actually read the Constitution and he knew what his job description was, and he was just like, I don't have that power. I can't do that, and so I won't profess to do that because I know I can't.
And the whole reason that this Electoral Count Act that's referred to in the indictment exists is because there were people who in the 1800s had submitted these different slates of electors. And so now Trump is trying to introduce the very same thing that happened in the 1800s. But that's the whole reason that this act exists, is to say, we don't need two slates of electors. Individual states have the right to hold their elections govern the laws by which they will be run, and to choose a date in which they will be certified. Congress's only duty is to accept those certifications and read them aloud.
Yep.
That's it. And that's really the whole point, to wrap this all up, is that he was trying to subvert the Constitution because he wanted to stay in power. And he used every means possible to try to do so.
He had a conspiracy and a plan A and a plan B and a plan C in the state. And then also had a plan that had something to do with sending all these people in to stop the fucking ceremony. Right. Which is literally a ceremonial aspect of what was done 2 months before.
That's the thing, is that the Electoral Count Act says all the states certify in December. Basically, they certify in December. They send their votes to the Senate.
And then
to the House.
And then after that, it's a ceremony. It's like, here, by the way, I'm opening this envelope and I'm gonna tell you who the runner-up to Miss America and Miss USA is that we've already chosen before the pageant even fucking started.
Might as well be
You don't even fucking know.
Might as well be.
Because that's America. What it was.
Exactly.
I know. I made that analogy because Trump runs Miss America. But it's whatever.
Miss Teen USA, I think is what it was.
Oh, he's a teeny.
He used to go into the...
I know.
Yeah, we won't go there. Sorry.
I'm aware.
And for anybody who's pressed about, the 1800s is ruling our 21st century laws, again, welcome to the club. Now you see the issue with not amending the Constitution as often as we probably should.
We really should do this every 10 years, at the very least.
10 to 20 years.
Yeah.
So the laws exist for a reason. The party of law and order should be welcoming the opportunity for him to present his case.
Law and order for thee, not for me.
Right. So Trump has an opportunity to prove it's not dependent upon the case. He doesn't have to prove that fraud existed, but this is the opportunity to prove that fraud happened in the 2020 election. I guarantee you he will not present that information because it does not exist.
Because if it had existed, these 61 cases wouldn't have been thrown out.
He would have shown it by now. So please, I've linked the information below. Everything that we've referenced today is linked below. Please read it. Check our TikTok. We are more than happy to share information that can help you to understand the context of this.
Shocked that we have a TikTok. But okay.
It's because I spend most of my time on TikTok. I am not on Facebook anymore.
I feel you. I know that.
Yeah. So anyways, we are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We are on TikTok. We are on Patreon.
See, my Apple Watch is like, it's time to stand. And I'm like, fuck no, it's time to drink.
Yes.
And we are on Patreon. Patreon.com/mixedpolitics, where we give back to you as much as you give to us. Whether it's merchandise or coming to be a part of the show or having your questions answered on the show, etc., etc., etc. And we've been through this. If you're a fan of the show, you know what this spiel is. And so I'm going to save you the indignity of hearing it again. If you go to patreon.com/mixedpolitics, you could throw something to us and we'll throw it back.
Yes. Absolutely. We love you. Thank you so much.
And for the people who've been throwing it at us, we've been throwing it back. And we love you both equally.
Yes.
So, thank you so much. So, to our analysts, pundits, and experts, thank you for sticking it out with us an hour and something. And good luck with this fucking indictment. But you're going to be a part of history, and so am I. Thank you. Wow.
Oh.
That turned into something that we didn't even plan.
An hour and a half for episode 2. What the fuck?
No, I'm sure there's like edited, outable pieces.
Edited, outable.